So here, Sean Spicer today doing a great job. Here, I'm just going to play it for you. Let's get right to it. This is what he said.
Thanks so much, Sean. The alliance between Russia and Syria is a strong one. It goes back decades. President Putin has supplied personnel, has supplied military equipment to the Assad government. What makes you think that at this point he's going to pull back in his support for President Assad and for the Syrian government right now?
I think a couple things. You look, we didn't use chemical weapons in World War II. You had someone as despicable as Hitler, who didn't even sink to using chemical weapons. So you have to, if you're Russia.
Now, I don't know if you know anything about World War II, but Hitler certainly used chemical weapons. That's not funny. It's funny how wrong he is. It's not funny that Hitler gassed people, 6 million Jews. They would send them in. We're going to go give you a shower. Everybody take clothes off. We're going to give you a shower. They'd go in. They'd gas them. They did medical experiments on live human beings. Medical experiments on live human beings. Like they were rats. That's what Hitler did, just so you know. So, again, people just can't help themselves. Remember when Saddam was the worst guy in the world? Then remember it was Osama bin Laden was the worst guy in the world. Then Al Qaeda. Then now it's ISIS because they cut people's heads off. Now it's Assad. There's always someone worse that we got to go bomb. There's always someone worse. There's somebody that's just, you can't imagine how despicable they are. This is hilarious. Let's see what else he says.
Ask yourself, is this a country that you and a regime that you want to align yourself with? You have previously signed on to international agreements, rightfully acknowledging that the use of chemical weapons should be out of bounds by every country. To not stand up to not only Assad, but your own word should be troubling. This is Russia put their name on the line.
Hey, by the way, let me just say this. Everybody who in America who's moralizing about how much better we are than Assad is either ignorant in the extreme or naive in the extreme or just a bullshitter, because we manufacture cluster bombs in the United States, which the world sees as a war crime. We manufacture them in the United States, cluster bombs, which kill 90% of the people they kill, civilians. What do we do with those cluster bombs? We sell them to Saudi Arabia. They drop them in the poorest country in Africa on fishing villages. That's where they dropped them, on fishing villages in Yemen, and they killed 90% of the people killed are civilians. We make those. We are not good people. This is all bullshit. We don't care about people. This is never, when we go to war, when we drop bombs, it's because somebody's figured out they can make a lot of money. And don't ever think otherwise. You're a sucker if you do, and a chump. Just like a sucker and a chump if you would have voted for Hillary Clinton, because she'd be doing even worse right now. She'd be doing even worse. Let's hear what else he has to say.
So it's not a question of how long that alliance has lasted, but at what point do they recognize that they are now getting on the wrong side of history in a really bad way really quickly? And again, look at the countries that are...
The wrong side of history? You mean how we're on the right side of history in Iraq? On the right side of history in Libya? On the right side of history in Afghanistan? We've been bombing Afghanistan for 16 straight fucking years. There are people going into the military that weren't even born on 9/11. There are people in the next few years that will be going into the military that weren't even born in 9/11. Think about that. That's how long we've been bombing Afghanistan. One of the poorest countries in the whole goddamn world. Who's going to pay for that? Us. No one ever asked that question, by the way. How are you going to pay for all these wars? No one ever asks.
Standing with them. Iran, Syria, North Korea. This is not a team you want to be on. And I think that Russia has to recognize that while they may have had an alliance for them, that the lines that have been crossed are ones that no country should ever want to see another country cross.
Okay, there it is. Vietnam, Iraq, Iran-Contra. The embargo in the 90s that's killed 500,000 children. The second Iraq war. The Libya, Honduras, Afghanistan. Come on. We set the whole goddamn Middle East on fire, and there's still someone else who's a dick. Someone else is fucking being a jerk. Someone else just doesn't have any ethics or morals. Meanwhile, we're helping spread Wahhabism around the Middle East because we're using our military to prop up Saudi Arabia, one of the most oppressive regimes in the world. We don't give a shit. If you think the United States is intervening because of humanitarian reasons, wow! I have a bridge I'd like to sell you in Florida.